Hey guys, what's up? Today I'll be reviewing Star Ocean: The Divine Force. The version I got is the PlayStation 4 version, but it's also available on the Xbox systems, PC, and of course the PlayStation 5. Alright, as always, we're gonna break down these reviews starting with the positive and then the negative. So let's begin! One of the many great things about this game is the story and its characters. With the exception of Star Ocean 5, I think all the others have great storytelling, somewhat mature, political, and, well, just very interesting, offering new perspectives on things. The Divine Force is no exception, its plot hooks you right from the start. You play as either Captain Raymond or Princess Leticia. I know it's hard to believe, but I picked Raymond because I wanted to get the perspective of the space traveler crashing on an undeveloped planet. That's how it was in some of the previous games, so it was nostalgic for me to keep that tradition alive. His merchant ship is shut down by the Federation, forcing an emergency landing on a medieval-looking planet. Raymond meets Leticia and her retainer Albert, who are searching for one of the three wise men to help them in a war against the Empire. Raymond gets caught up in this war as well, while he searches for his two missing crewmates, Elena and Chloe. Obviously, the story goes beyond that with incredible pacing. That's right, this game never feels slow, it never drags you down with a million cutscenes or tons of dialogue. The storytelling is superb, and it just never feels boring. I love the cast, despite not caring much for characters like Albert or Nina at the beginning, but they actually grew on me over time. My favorites, of course, were Leticia and Elena, very well written characters. If you're wondering if the story changes a lot with one protagonist or the other, I'd say it's like in Star Ocean: The Second Story, the only other game in the series where you can choose either. 80% is the same, but the protagonists do go their separate ways a few times, so you do get like 20% of differences between both of them. Private actions are back, mini scenes you get when talking to your party members around town. These will affect which character ending you'll get, but not the main ending after the credits. There's no new game plus here, sadly, but there's never been one in the series or in the majority of Tri-Ace games. Instead, there's our super hard post-game dungeon though, if you're interested. Also, you can recruit one character that's exclusive to Raymond and another one for Leticia. The music by Motoi Sakuraba doesn't disappoint. There's a few awesome tracks worth listening to, but like in many Star Ocean or even Tales games, the rest is just forgettable. Visually, the game looks absolutely beautiful. It encourages the player to explore as in an open world game, even though it's not one, but most of the places you'll visit look very detailed and high quality. However, that's only artistically speaking. Technically speaking, the game has a few flaws, but we'll get to those later. Exploration is also enhanced by this flying robot thing called Duma, which is actually one of the main characters in the game, believe it or not. Any character can have it attached to their back to fly around or float around for a brief period of time, and while the camera is kinda troublesome every time, it still feels pretty damn fun. It's also mandatory to reach certain places in the world and to solve some puzzles. But its biggest feature is taken advantage of during battle. This Star Ocean game is the less technical of the series, and it's just as crazy and chaotic as its predecessor, Integrity and Faithlessness. Difference is, though, that in that game it was crazy in a bad sense. Here it's the total opposite. Blind sights are back and mandatory to increase the AP, action points you need to execute certain combos or to use Duma to fly towards the enemies. A successful blind sight increases 1 AP and it's so easy to do with the enemies, but ironically not with the bosses. What I did was use it once to ambush them and execute 1 or 2 attacks, then dive back, rinse and repeat. Halfway through the game I was killing everything with Elena, and she's kinda broken for a big part of the adventure. Later, Raymond was my man, especially for the bosses. All characters control very good here, but I mostly use these two and Leticia for the first several hours of the game. For Elena and Raymond I trained a lot. One specific attack, Boulder Crash for Raymond as it does massive damage, and Assassin for Elena. When you level up, you get skill points that you'll want to distribute amongst several things. The skill tree, where you increase stats and unlock abilities. Those abilities are, well, active, passive, and for combat. However, to increase Duma's abilities, you'll need these purple crystals that you'll find often in towns and in the overworld. They don't respawn, so you can't farm them. As for the characters, up to you how you handle things here, but I suggest balancing things out and focusing on 1 or 2 attacks for the character or characters you'll use. Overall, I love this battle system, even if it's crazy and hard to keep up with what's going on during battle, but that's a Star Ocean game for you. Now let's talk about the negative. First of all, the graphics. Fortunately and thankfully they no longer look as blurry as they did in the demo. Take a look at this for comparison and you'll notice the difference. They're still kinda blurry, but I can guarantee that's just the style Tri-Ace went for. They're supposed to look that way. What isn't supposed to look that way is the frame rate. At the beginning of the game you can choose to prioritize either the image quality or the frame rate. Why the hell can't we prioritize both? It's 2022, a AAA RPG from Square-Enix, and you're telling me both can't be prioritized? Sometimes resolution will go down even when not fighting. I know it's not so noticeable in this footage that I captured, but it's as if every once in a while the characters look kinda blurry or pixelated. The frame rate is not too bad, but it does drop mildly sometimes. I don't know why it happens the most during town exploration. Again, maybe you won't be able to notice it, but camera and controls do feel slightly clunky when running around or moving the camera. I'm not sure why they couldn't fix these technical issues before release. It doesn't ruin the experience, but it can be very annoying sometimes. Now, as you've probably been seeing, the font in this game is way too small. During dialogue, during the menus, during everything. I have no idea why the developers decided on this. Why didn't they make it a little bit bigger than that? I mean, seriously, look how small it is. If you're watching this video on your phone, can you even make out what it says? Or what the characters are saying? Jesus! Who came up with this idea, man? The second negative thing about this game involves the puzzles. There are a bunch of them that are either easy or challenging, but overall enjoyable, except a couple of them where the game just left them as cryptic as they would, and it's so irritating. In this part right here, for example, I'm supposed to push some debris to use it as a platform to get to the other side. This freaking area right here is where the game gave me the tutorial, the same one that you can review in the menu in case you forget. Well, I tried everything like an idiot for over 10 minutes, but nothing worked. It turns out I needed to be in another area to push the debris, not in this one. So if I was in the wrong area, why the hell did you give me the damn tutorial here? The last negative thing about this game is the worst. While it didn't ruin the game for me, I can see it ruining it for a lot of people. One of the biggest issues with Star Ocean 5 was the insanely, ridiculously programmed difficulty. The balance is all over the place. However, Star Ocean 6, I beat it in Galaxy mode, which is the normal mode. For a guy like me who plays most action RPGs on easy, that should speak volumes, right? All enemies and the majority of the bosses are a walk in the park. They die quickly, and if you trained some attacks like I did, you can destroy everything in seconds, even some of the bosses. But for some outrageous reason that I don't understand, a few bosses are insanely hard, cheap, and frustrating as hell. No, I did nothing wrong in this example I'm showing right now. I played normally and still got my ass kicked for no reason. Sure, sometimes the camera sucks bananas, the low frame rate gets in the way, and the party AI does nothing but perform as stupidly as they can. But even with those issues, the battles shouldn't be this unfair, with your characters getting so easily killed. It's like in Rogue freaking Galaxy with everyone dying a hell of a lot in a few seconds. I literally have no idea what I did wrong, but miraculously, I survived. But in this other one right here, I had to change the difficulty to easy just to defeat it. Thankfully, I only did that with this one boss, but there's two more near the end of the game, and I just can't believe it, man. The final boss was very challenging, but nowhere near as cheap as these unfairly programmed bastards. Let me tell you right away, all Star Ocean games are like this, with some real nasty spikes every now and then, but this one just takes the cake, man. It's not as bad as in Star Ocean 5 though, but that's a mediocre game, so it kinda gets away with it. Here, it's even more frustrating because everything else is just excellent, so it pains me to rage so hard with something that the developers either did on purpose to piss off the players, or just didn't test those battles enough to realize their idiocy. But anyway, that's my rant. Overall, I still think this is a fantastic game. It's no masterpiece or, it's like some people say, a flawed masterpiece. Is it worth playing? Very worth it, I'd say. Is it the worst Star Ocean ever? Hell no, far from it. Is it the best one? It's too soon to say because I just finished it and I may be very biased, but I really like it. Anyway, I'll need more time for that. But all its positive things make up for the majority of its negatives. So in conclusion, yes, this is a great game and I do recommend it, just keep in mind those flaws that I mentioned. And is it one of the best Star Ocean games in the series at least? Yes, it is. Thanks for watching, don't forget to subscribe and share this video with your friends. See you next time!